Welcome to Time Off Money. We're talking about vacation budgets. We are in 2021, approaching what we hope is the end of the pandemic lockdown. But certainly there is a huge pent-up demand for vacations this summer of 2021. So we want to put together this video along with some of our other tools to help you prepare the best way you can for financially for your summer vacation. We hope it's a great one. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here with time off money. First of all, vacation budgets. The average vacation budget has been, and so it's probably going to be higher than this 2021. But in the last couple of years, for a family of four, it's in the neighborhood of $6,000 to $6,500. For an individual, it's a little over $1,500. Now, you can have a much more affordable budget, vacation, of course, and you can easily spend double that. Just depends on what your vacation is. But that's just to give you a frame of reference. Who's spending more right now? A recent study by Alliance Global said that Gen Xers are overspending more than their counterparts in the Boomer generation and in the millennials. Now, being a Gen Xer, I can tell you that's probably because we have the teenage kids. We were at the height of raising families as a group. So that is probably why our expenses are so much higher than the other generations. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about 9 different vacation expenses that you need to be planning for, because you don't want to get hit with, I've been there, I think we've all been there, that you get back from a vacation and you take a look at all the different bills and everything you spent, and it is 50%, 100%, 200% more than you expected. So that's what the goal is here. So expense number 1, air travel. If you are traveling by air, and there's a lot of people going to be traveling by car this year, but if you are traveling by air, make sure that you are getting the best deal possible. Shop around is great. There's so many different websites out there that you can look and compare deals. But typically, now 2020 and 2021 may be anything but typical. But typically you want to look for purchasing your airfare about 45 days out. So about 45, it's about a month and a half before you leave. Now, in many cases, especially if you got huge plans that you can't adjust, you probably want to lock it in a little earlier. But 45 days is typically when you're going to get the best deals. Also, if you're going to fly, if there's any possibility you can fly midweek, quite often it may vary by airline and by season, but usually you can get the best deals on the Tuesdays if you're flying out on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, midweek, Wednesdays, Thursdays, rather than flying on the weekend. Now, the exception is if you're actually going to fly on a holiday. Quite often, holidays, think about Thanksgiving, for example, or Christmas. If you're going to fly, if you can fly and you don't care about flying on a holiday, you can usually get the best deals for flying on that day. Those are just some ideas on how to cut down on your airfare costs. Okay, expense number 2. Let's talk about fun. Why are you going on vacation? Now, you can be going on vacation to visit family. You can go on vacation to have fun. You can go on vacation to relax. Regardless, there's probably going to be some extra expenses going on there, whether you're just going to go down to a local museum or you're going to go to a major theme park. Make sure you budget for your tickets, for the park tickets, for any kind of other attractions you're going to go visit that you want to see. If it's someplace you've been before, you're going to have an idea of what's there and how much it's going to cost. But look it up ahead of time. Take some time. Don't just show up and be unpleasantly surprised by the expense of it all. Expense number 3, you've got your shopping. And not everybody is a souvenir collector or hat collector or t-shirt, but many families love to bring back some souvenirs from their trips, whether it is a t-shirt or a hat or some little trinket that they get at a local shop. Budget for those. Don't just budget say, okay, here's the amount. Think it through. How much is it going to be? When it comes to clothing, double it, because you're probably going to, if you're in a vacation destination, it's going to be more expensive at all the little shops that you like to go into. And then when you get there, make sure that you are budgeting your money by day. Break it down by saying, okay, look, if we've got $10 a day to spend on, or $100 or $70, let's say, for souvenirs for the week, that's $10 a day. So if you're going to spend it all on the first day, it's going to be gone and you're done. And you're going to not feel so hot about that. So make sure that if you have teenage kids especially, hey, that's $10 a day. Why don't you wait until we can come back here after day 4 or 5 if it's still something you want. Because guarantee preteens, teenagers want to buy the first thing they see on vacation. And it's rarely the thing that they really want at the end of the vacation. So, okay, expense number 4. Food and dining. Big expense. Often the second biggest expense after lodging, even bigger sometimes than airfare. Just depends on your household habits when you're on vacation. Are you eating out a lot, or are you buying groceries, dining in, visiting with family, visiting with friends where you're reimbursing them? But make sure that you have a plan, have a meal plan. If you're going to be in parks, then you've got to make sure that you just don't say, well, we'll just run back to the hotel and eat. It's not easy to do. You're going to have to just plan some extra cash for your groceries and for your fast food or food in the parks, or if you're stopping at coffee shops along the beach or an ice cream place, whatever it might be. Make sure that you are more than sufficiently planning for food and dining out. Expense number 5, lodging. Huge expense. You've got, whether it's a hotel or motel, that can be the second or the first largest expense of your vacation. If you're going to go a little cheaper, maybe if you're young and want to stay in a hostel, depending on where you're going in the U.S. or in Europe, quite possible there. If you like to camp, maybe an RV park, just renting a pad is going to be a lot cheaper, or a place at a state or national park, much more affordable for your campsite, for a tent, if that's all you're going to do. If you're going to look at renting a beach house or a mountain cabin or something like that, shop around. Again, you want to make sure you're getting the best deal, that it fits for your family, and compare it to a hotel, especially when you have to ask yourself, look, do we want to spend half the day cooking if it's a big group, or is it worth us to spend a little more at a hotel or less at a campground? It just depends on what your choice is. Expense number 6, transportation. Now here's where, if you're going to be driving your own vehicle, you don't have to worry about rental costs. But right now, with the demand for rental vehicles has gone through the roof, and prices are about as expensive as they've ever been. So if you haven't thought about if you've been thinking about renting a car for your vacation, but you haven't looked at that yet, it's going to be an unpleasant surprise. Make sure you figure that into your budget after you look and project how much it's going to be. If you're just driving your own car, make sure that you understand. Don't just see what fuel prices are right now. Right now, it's springtime. If you are waiting until summer, understand that prices always go up during the spring until they peak starting at the Memorial Day weekend, the start of the summer, and they stay high all the way through Labor Day. Why? Because the demand is high. As long as there's a high demand, prices are going to be high. So don't just look at, what are the prices right now? You're going to have to add some if you're in spring or winter, and you're planning on driving somewhere in the fall or in the summer. Add in some extra cushion, because prices are going to go up. If you belong to a membership club like a Costco or a Sam's Club perhaps, where they have cheaper gas, plot that along the way. You'll be able to save yourself, depending on the size of your tank, $5 to $10 perhaps in gas, or $5 per fill up. You'd have to have a pretty large tank. But if you're taking an RV, then that's not uncommon at all. And if you're going to have to fill up, 5 or 6 or 10 times throughout your vacation, hey, that's a nice meal out that you're saving yourself. And then don't forget to put in, if you're going on airfare, that you have the transfers to and from the hotel, whether you're taking a taxi traditionally or the ride share, whatever it might be, make sure you figure that in. You can get quotes ahead of time to get an idea of how much you're going to need. All right, expense number 7. What we're looking at here is if you are specifically going on a cruise. Don't forget, it's not just the tickets. It's not just how to get to the port where you're going to be, whether you're flying or driving, but it is the tips. Quite often right now, we're still getting back in, coming out of the pandemic, and cruise lines will recover, and it's been really tough for them, obviously, but so tickets might be really affordable. Don't forget the tip. A few cruise lines are starting to include tip in the price of the tickets. If not, make sure that you budget for that. Also, don't forget about when you get into port, you're going to want to do all the vacation or the souvenir shopping or window shopping that turns into actual purchases, and the activities and the fun and things. So cruises can feel like they're self-contained and you only have the ticket price, but you're going to add a lot more, especially if you I went to Puerto Vallarta once with my daughter, and if you wanted to go actually into town from the port, you had to get a ride share or pay for one of their service buses, or as we did, just walk the 3 miles and relaxed, or 4 miles, whatever it was. But plan for it. Expense number 8. If you're going internationally, you're going to have some extra expenses that you need to take care of ahead of time. Make sure that you have any documentation. Make sure you can even fly there, first of all, of course. There's some places that are shut off to American travelers right now, or wherever you might be. Make sure that you can get there and they'll let you in. You're going to need a passport, okay, $100, $200, however many kids or family members you're taking with you. Make sure that you have taken care of your visa requirements as well. Do you have to take some prescriptions with you? Now, this isn't just international. This might be for any kind of long-term trip. Make sure you've paid for your prescriptions ahead of time and you've got a supply there so that you're not running to a national chain or a local store and asking them to contact your service provider back home in an emergency. Look ahead for vaccines. What are the requirements and what vaccines are required wherever you're going? Get those taken care of ahead of time. Take care of your health ahead of time so that you don't show up, of course, traveling with a fever. You're unlikely to be able to get on any kind of plane if you're sick, or if you get to a theme park, or into customs, wherever it is. Make sure that you're keeping yourself maybe quarantined for a couple of weeks ahead of time. And then keep in mind exchange fees. If you are planning on using a credit card, there are some credit cards that don't charge international exchange fees. Most do still. So work that into your figure. You can often get better deals ahead of time if you shop around. You may not be able to get much of a deal at a local bank or credit union, but shop around. See where you're going to get the best exchange deals. Don't exchange everything before you leave, just in case something happens and you actually can't leave on that date. You might want to, and you're going to have to exchange the fees back, or the currency back to your home currency, which might incur more fees. And expense number 9, ATM fees, Wi-Fi, and travel insurance. If you're going to be using a debit card while you travel or an ATM card to pull out cash, a couple of things. One, remember that there's probably going to be a fee every time you do that. So minimize how many times you do that. 2, be extraordinarily careful, because many countries may not have the same sort of protections that you that your country has on ATMs. And I've talked to people who have gone on trips to tropical, wonderful vacation destinations, but the minute they put in their ATM card to get some cash out, within a matter of 10 minutes or 20 minutes, they get a call from their bank or credit union saying, we just noticed that you took a withdrawal from cash and that you made this major purchase in some international place. Totally fraud. There was a camera on the ATM that they hadn't noticed, and somebody stole all their information. Okay, Wi-Fi, depending on where you're going, most hotels, at least domestically, will have Wi-Fi available. Check with the hotel or wherever you're going to be staying, whether you're going to a campground or whether you're going on a cruise. Quite often, they're going to charge you extra for Wi-Fi. But remember, you're going on vacation. Sometimes you should just minimize your access so you can be kind of off the grid for a while and recharge. It depends on why you're there. Is travel insurance worth it? It depends, of course. If you have some major purchases that you can't get refunded if you don't make it to that destination, you might want to consider travel insurance. Whether you get it through the place where you bought the tickets, or whether you go through your own insurance company. You don't have to go directly through the airline or through one of these other places. You can check with your own insurance agent for traveler's insurance. But it can be well worth it if something happens and you can't make the vacation and you're worried about getting refunds from park tickets or from hotel that you might lose a first 1 or 2 nights stay or more. So, okay, if you'd like to learn more about vacations and actually use our vacation budget calculator, there's the link. It's moneyfit.org/vacation-budget-calculator. You can just click some boxes. This is what I'm going to include, or we're going to include on our vacation. It'll bring up some fields. You enter in your best estimate. Some of those will actually be calculated for you based on your gas prices and your mileage, and it'll tell you right there. Here's what you should. Here's an idea of what you should be saving for. To find this and other webinars, MoneyFit webinars, find us at moneyfit.org/live. You can also find a link there to our previous webinars that have been archived. My name is Todd Christensen. I'm author of Everyday Money for Everyday People and 50 Plus on Fire. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to having you come again for another webinar.